Hey, how you and your mom and them doing? Or your dad and them and shit? How are they? You know what I mean? I'm just asking because I know you won't be asking this. The social distancing will keep you from, contacting and communicating with people. Because, the conspiracy, because this is going to be a video about conspiracy theory, what I'm saying? Keeps people in a bubble. So it was socially distancing people with social media before the corona bottle thing came along. But who cares? Holography is what you want to get. The holography, the whole writing of the arts and sciences as one educational discipline, Achad website. Let me put the banner up so that you know it's real. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you get your copy so you can understand anything, whether we're talking about, you know, science or, conspiracies that we can then debunk with, proper logic. You know what I'm saying? Esoteric logic. You know what I mean? Make sure you get your copy. But today we're going to review this Netflix film that just came out a few days ago. They cloned Tyrone. So I guess they took his DNA and made copies of him. That's the title of the movie here. So you know what I mean? So let me put a background on to make it look like I'm a superhero. 1 second. Like I got big things popping. Like I'm a, a big personality in the podcasting world. You gotta put a good background in the back and shit. You know what I mean? Got my little background at the Reality Institute. But yeah, man. Let me change my screen up here. So yeah, this movie just came out. They cloned Tyrone, one of the blackest names to ever grace the planet Earth. Tyrone. What white person or other ethnicity is named Tyrone? Never met a white man named Tyrone or a white boy named Tyrone. So that's ours. You can't, it doesn't even feel right if you see a white guy and his name is Tyrone, or an Indian guy or a Chinese guy named Tyrone. Don't match up. And unless, of course, he has, a father or grandfather who's black, then, or his mother or grandmother, then you could, but that's if you mix by races, biracial or whatever, multiracial. But that's it's besides the point of this live here. So this movie, I recommend you watch it. I recommend everybody watch it. Make sure, if you got somebody password or, you know, your lover, y'all ex-lovers, but y'all still got each other's Netflix information, or you got his or you got hers. Make sure you watch this film. It's only 2 hours long. And like I said, it's well acted. you know Even in parts of the film, spoiler alert, where they're acting out certain stereotypes that you get from, because you could just see by the aesthetic of the film, just these three characters alone, that there's some, they play with, which I like about the film, is that they play with certain stereotypes. So from what I've done the research on, this film is based on a premise of a joke. Yeah, those jokes where it's like a black guy, a white guy, and a Chinese guy goes to a bar. So this is like, if a pimp, a prostitute, and a drug dealer went to a bar, and it starts off as a joke. And I like films that start off with those humble beginnings. Like it starts off as a joke, but then it's like, well, let's see if we can develop this into like a full feature film, and this is what you get. So, my initial thoughts after watching the film, because I only seen it once, so I probably will be watching it a couple more times. But like I said, it's well acted, good set pieces, good cameos, you know what I'm saying? Um, there's a story, it's not no, it's not some inclusivity, uh what's the word, David? Social justice type of thing. It does deal with, conspiracy theories and trying to stick it to the man, but it's a twist to it, you know what I'm saying? Because there was movies, black exploitation movies, because this is obviously taking its cues and aesthetics from those movies from the 70s, especially where it was, we're going to take down the man. You know what I'm saying? We're going to take down the man. So it also kind of is reminiscent of those movies, Undercover Brother, and what's the other movie that came out like that? Pootie Tang. Sadate, you know what I'm saying? It has those vibes, but it takes it in a more serious direction. Because I actually like those two movies, Undercover Brother and Pootie Tang. But it takes them in a much darker, serious direction. It's the same type of it also has like the feel or the cinematography of like what's the movie? Hustle and Flow, the movie where Terrence Howard is he a trap rapper or a southern rapper from Memphis. So it has all that kind of combined into one. But there's always a Yakub lurking. And for those of you that are in the Black conscious community, you know who Yakub is. He's this ancient supposed Black scientist that lived in the island of Patmos, and supposedly, he took the DNA of Black people and made other ethnicities, namely white people. You know what I'm saying? From his experiments. And we talking about thousands of years ago. I'm not totally sure what the years, how long ago it was, because you'd have to speak to someone that's more in tune with that, that whole setup there with Yakub. Like if you deal with certain Muslim or Muslim adjacent groups, they're always talking about Yakub. And Yakub, like I said, big-headed scientist. Here, I even pull him up. Hold on. Now, so as soon as you type in Yakub, the first group that pops up on the screen is the Nation of Islam, the NO. So yeah, if you're definitely down with the NOI, or you know what I'm saying, you have some connections to it, there's the word Patmos. This is something you believe, like this is something so 6,600 years ago. So I was, that's the year I was looking for, the amount of years ago this person existed. So, according to the NOI, he's, credited as creating the white race or the Zoid Anglo-Saxon people, you know what I mean? So this movie takes it deals with Yakub in a way that you wasn't expecting Yakub to appear. You know what I'm saying? And this is spoiler alert, so I ain't gonna put, because I ain't trying to spare you from those spoilers, because I would figure that if you saw this video's title, you'd wait to watch the movie, or if you stole somebody's Netflix password, say you can go ahead and watch the movie and come back to watch this. But if you did watch it or you don't care about the spoilers, then I'm your guy. I'm the guy for this. You know what I'm saying? So what we find out, big spoiler, is that Fontaine, who's the character here, played by John Boyega, he's actually a clone of the geneticist that is responsible for all the clones in the movie. So Clone Tyrone, obviously we're talking about clones. So he is a clone based on the actual scientist or the geneticist that does all the cloning. You know what I'm saying? And they have him in the movie as like an older man, like he looks like he's in his maybe like his late 50s or something like that. And he is the Yakub in this movie. He's the Yakub. Now, the thing or Yakub is nothing new. And they kind of reiterate or do this character many times in different ways. Like, for example, the movie the Island of Dr. Moreau. Like, that's a Yakub movie. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that's a Yakub story, because it deals with Victor Frankenstein. A lot of people think the monster is called Frankenstein, but it's actually the scientist that created the monster that we know, with the bolts in his neck and the flat top, and he's green and shit. He moans and he's kind of dumb. It's the actual Frankenstein is the scientist that creates the monster. So it's really Frankenstein's monster, but people just over the decades started just calling the monster Frankenstein. And like movies like The Island, where you have Ewan McGregor, where they're clones made for the sole purpose of providing organs and tissue for cloned after. So that movie, The Island, with Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor. Whereas this island, there's the island thing, Island of Patmos, and then the movie Island of Dr. Moreau. This all goes back to the Yakub thing. It's all dealing with the Yakub. Yakub is like the original cloner or cloning geneticist. You know what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, in the movie The Island, here I guess I gotta provide pictures for y'all so y'all know what I'm talking about. This movie right here, The Island. So their clones are made on an island, and whoever you was like the clones are cloned after, those are they're basically killed, or they're basically just being grown for their organs or whatever tissue so that the original person can stay alive. So if you needed a heart, or you needed the lungs, or a stomach, you just needed a new body. Even you this facility on this island where they make clones of you, so if you ever need a heart, you have a clone there that you can take the heart of that clone and put it inside of you. So that's the premise of this movie. It's important to talk about because this is kind of like, it's kind of in the same realm or whatever. It's kind of in the same thing. It's the same shit, islands, stuff like that. But what I want to talk about is dealing with the theme rather than the conspiracy, because I know there's going to be a lot of people online or in YouTube that are just going to focus on the conspiracy. And like I said, it's really, I'm not so much concerned with the conspiracy as I am with the themes and the reason why they even made a movie like this. So off the bat, what I noticed is that this is the second movie this year where they dealt with a Yakub. Because if you go to Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3 that came out this year, the other of 2023 is the High Evolutionary. So this dude right here. So he's the villain in the Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. And he's really one of the better villains of that whole MCU thing. You know what I'm saying? Somebody commented, nature versus nurture, creator versus creature. Okay, thanks for laying that theme out. But yeah, he's the other Yakub story of 2023. So you should notice that when they start coming out with certain movies throughout the year, it's usually the movies are of the same type of theme. They usually put out 4 or 5 films that are based on the same shit. They try to illusion that there's no connection because you're dealing with different studios and different names and stuff like that. But no, it's all the same agenda. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same agenda. Let's keep it a buck. So this is the other Yakub, but in this movie, The Guardians Part 3, is dealing with the backstory of the Rocket Raccoon, the raccoon that's a part of, a raccoon is shooting guns and talking in a New York accent. So in that storyline, the High Evolutionary right here, he's responsible for the creation, or at least not the creation, but the development of a raccoon that becomes Rocket by, doing experiments on a raccoon and making him as intelligent or even more intelligent than the average person. So the beef between the High Evolutionary and the raccoon character is that the raccoon starts outsmarting or has ideas or thoughts about things that makes the High Evolutionary jealous. So it's just like if I was your son and I started being smarter than you and started doing things better than you, and you start getting, because I'm supposed to be the product and you're supposed to be the creator, but I'm outsmarting you, like I'm with better ideas than you. Like I have a more of a genius level intellect than you do. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing I noticed when I got to this movie, They Cloned Tyrone. Start paying attention to these movies that come out per year. It's usually they're all trying to give the same propaganda message within that year. You know what I'm saying? It's every year they do it. It's always like a 3 or 4 movies where they start talking about the same shit in those movies. The second thing that should automatically have been noticed by anybody who watches movies is that you have John Boyega in this film. He's the main character. And what I saw was they really just kind of redid Star Wars as a sequel trilogy. Now, in the Star Wars community, this movie trilogy is hated on because it was poorly made. They really there was no plan involved when they made these three movies, from 2015 to 2019. They made these three movies. And, this is where George Lucas, who's the creator of this Star Wars thing, he sold the properties or, the IP to Disney. So these are the Disney Star Wars movies. It deals with John Boyega, who plays Finn. He plays Finn in the movie, but he's like a clone. He's like one of the Stormtrooper clones that goes rogue. Man, he goes rogue. Man, my video is looking real choppy. What are they trying to do to my video? It looks choppy. Can y'all see me? Is it working correctly? Like, is the video smooth? Because this is the first time I really had like real choppy video that I can see on my computer. And I paid my internet bill, and I got like, a couple gigabyte speed. So I ain't got janky internet or nothing like that. You know how they try to say, fix your internet, nigga. It's like, my internet is good. I paid my bill. I don't know if you can still hear me, but I'm gonna keep going. If not, I'll just remake the shit maybe next week. But it's the same premise. Like, it's a clone, John Boyega the clone, and then also Tyrone the clone, right? And he rebels against the system that created him. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. Natasha said, sounds choppy, but looks okay. Oh, it looks going back. I don't know. Sometimes, because I've noticed this before, like when I go live about certain subjects, all of a sudden it's hard for me to sometimes they'll even cut the live off and make it go to black. That has happened to me before. When I start talking about stuff that they don't want on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't have to be a person that shuts you down. They have algorithms that, if you say a certain word, like if I said, this is why I say Corona bottle instead of other word to refer to, what happened in 2020 with masks or whatever. If I start saying something about, the Corona bottle in those words, they'll probably shut this shit down. But anyway, going back to what I'm talking about, it's the same premise. And it makes sense why they hired him to be in his movie, They Cloned Tyrone. It makes sense. It's the same movie. It's a clone that goes up against the system that made him. So it's also kind of like, the whole thing with Frankenstein, because once Victor Frankenstein, he collects the dead body parts from the grave, and then he goes into his basement and creates the monster based on these dead body parts that he collected from the grave. And then he creates the Frankenstein monster. But the thing about the Frankenstein monster is that he wants to know why he was created. Like, he wants to know, what is my purpose for existing? Like, why am I here? Why do I exist? Who am I? Why, you know what I mean? And when the Victor Frankenstein scientist doesn't have like an answer, or he doesn't know why, like he doesn't have a valid answer, that's when the Frankenstein monster just starts killing everybody out of frustration of why he was created. But and like I said, it's the same thing, same theme being recycled in movies and stories. But again, because the best premise about this whole Disney Star Wars is that Finn is a stormtrooper that rebels against the system. He rebels against the villains. He wakes up from being just some dumb clone with a gun in his hand, and he wakes up and becomes one of the main characters of the movie. So that is right here. Obviously, with these three characters, you have Finn, Poe Dameron, and Rey Skywalker. I guess that's her last name. That's what you want to call her. So it's basically these three, based on these three. So it's these three right here turned into those three. Same shit. Watch the movie. You'll notice that. Themes. So obviously some underground corporation, you know what I'm saying? They have these underground tunnels, this underground scientific facility that's right underneath this hood somewhere in southern United States. And they have clones of the pimp here that's played by Jamie Foxx. He's Slick Charles, and then you have Fontaine, played by John Boyega. And really, the secret corporation doesn't know how to, you know, cover their tracks all the way. So it's revealed that, once he gets shot by, some other gang members in the city, his clone is then they replace him with a clone. But Jamie Foxx character is like, nigga, you got shot yesterday. Like, how could you be still living? How could you still be alive? So then they go on this kind of like this Scooby-Doo detective story on trying to find out this conspiracy about cloning, mind control. They use the music, the food, perm products that women put in their hair, church, juice, drink. You know what I'm saying? You never drink. Anything that has drink, when you go to the supermarket, if it says drink, don't drink it. Like if it's orange drink or apple drink, you know what I'm saying? Dave Chappelle, he made a joke about this in one of his stand-ups where he's, black people don't drink orange juice, they drink orange drink. Ain't no vitamins in that shit. So, they play with that in this movie. So it's all these different things that are used to control black community, like the music. Like they show you how they make music that is designed to hypnotize and evoke certain emotions in you that make you more controllable. So when you're in the strip club, they have all these different songs in it that they use to control you with. So you can be hypnotized by a song. Now, is that too far from our reality? Not too far, because obviously they make music that promote stereotypes, promote drug dealings and drinking and shaking your ass and doing all that. So in this movie, they take it to the next level by just saying, they make these songs that are used to hypnotize you. So, I don't know if you ever seen the movie The Manchurian Candidate. That's also a movie that this Clone Tyrone is something that they probably based this shit off of. Hold on. So this movie Manchurian Candidate, I would rather you watch that Denzel Washington. I've seen the older one, the gray and white, black and white one. That's cool, but I like this one with Denzel Washington in it. And it's really not about clones. It's really more about these soldiers that they're kidnapped, and they're basically they do some MK Ultra Operation Paperclip shit on them. Like they basically take these soldiers and this shady shadow group of like scientists and hypnotists. They do these experiments and stuff on Denzel and the other soldiers, to make them basically sleeper cell. You know what a sleeper cell is? So a sleeper cell is like, it's just like the Bucky from the MCU. Like they take you and they kidnap you. They do all these uh psychic driving experiments, like these MK Ultra things on your mind, and they program you so when they say like certain keywords, they can control you. This is exactly what they do here. So once one of these clones gets shot or they die, they just get replaced by the clone, which is, they give them the what's it called? The footage that gives them their false memories, and then they place them right in the place where the old clone died. You know what I'm saying? So like for example, if I were to die like in the next minute, they would take my body, dispose of it, and then bring my clone to take my place. And there's a loop, there's a narrative that each clone goes by. It also reminds me of the TV show Westworld on HBO. It's basically a narrative that the clones are programmed to follow. Like you do the same shit every day. So Fontaine, he's programmed to be a drug dealer. So he deals drugs, he drinks malt liquor. You know what I'm saying? When the last time you seen a nigga drink malt liquor? Who still drinks 40 ounces? You know what I'm saying? Who still drinks a 40? I haven't seen someone drinking a 40 since like maybe the 90s or something like that. And so, like I said, even Slim Charles that Jamie Foxx plays in the movie, He's a pimp that does the same shit every day. He just pimps hoes. That's all he does. So if he were to die, they would bring in his clone so they can continue that narrative. You see what I mean? But these three go on this, like I said, this whole detective story of finding out this conspiracy where this corporation is not only are they cloning people, they're also putting stuff in the food. Like the chicken has some sort of like sedative that makes you laugh. It makes you retarded when you eat it. So let me think about all those times where y'all went to those Popeyes restaurants when they came out with the chicken sandwich and y'all ate it. Even had one. You know what I'm saying? Never ate it again because I just didn't like the way it felt. And when you watch a movie like this, you can probably know why, the chicken sandwich made you feel that way. Because, I remember, when Popeyes first came out with the chicken sandwich, all y'all was, in line to eat it. You know what I mean? And notice how it's usually placed in Black communities. So that's where the whole conspiracy thing starts to come out. But I don't on conspiracy because we can sit here and debate whether, there's a clone or not. I want to get to the theme. So, for example, when Lil Wayne came out, this is, you think I'm going off topic, but we're going to bring it back. When Lil Wayne, from the Hot Boys, Lil Wayne, when he came out, he was the biggest fucking rapper of like 2006 to like 2010. The biggest rapper. You had all types of people on him now. Like he was like out rapping everybody. But the moment he started, I guess, rebelling, or he didn't want, he was missing money from his record label, they immediately replaced him with the Young Thug. To me, that's a clone. Not in a clone where it's like, we dealing with actual, you took my DNA and then you made a clone out of me. No. That's a clone in the sense that we can dispose of whoever and then put somebody in your place and do everything you was already doing. When Tupac died, supposedly, he was immediately replaced with somebody like Ja Rule. Ja Rule started acting like Tupac. So when you say clone, what do you mean by clone? Because we can go down to the literal clone where you take, again, my genetics and you grow another me in a lab. Or just deal with the theme of it, where if I was, the spokesperson for like Black people and I somehow don't want to do it anymore, they can come in and replace me with somebody else just like that. Just like that. They do everything I was doing, talk the same points I was talking, do all the stuff I was doing. So what do we mean by clone? Because if we are talking about the second instance where it's just someone who is there to replace you in case you want to rebel or you want to, if you die or you start going off script or whatever, then in that case, yeah, this movie is very important to watch in that case. Because you think that a lot of these celebrities and musicians and people in the famous arena, celebrity, you think that a lot of them are organic and they were just found and they just got a record deal or a movie contract and now they are superstars. Some of you need to understand the whole idea of industry plans. Because all I take someone from college and make them look like a thug, and now I got the next hot rapper. That's all it takes. So that's a formula to that. So I don't have to go out in the streets like, as an AR and look for another rapper. I can create one. I can create an industry plan. Okay, you said you think they make clones once every 5 to 2 years. Okay. I can agree with that, but what like I'm saying here is that I'm going with the theme and not necessarily the actual conspiracy. Because they can come out here and deny and say there's no such thing as clones, or they can label you as what's the word? They can label you a conspiracy theorist, like with the whole Corona bottle thing. Like if you were to come out here and start talking some truth about the Corona bottle, they'll sit here and flag your post or your video as you're putting out conspiracy misinformation, and the the CC or the WHO organization has the right information on this corona bottle situation. They can do that. So let's just focus on the theme. Like, for example, if you go in the hood is always the same everywhere you go. You want to go to a hood in New York, a hood in Chicago, a hood somewhere in Texas, in Florida, somewhere in California, LA. Hell, even in like Wyoming, they got hoods out in Wyoming, in Utah, in Montana. Like, you wouldn't think there's a hood out there, but I'm pretty sure there is. Why are hoods the same? You got the same stores, the same liquor stores, the same churches. You got the same products like Swisher Sweets, you know what I'm saying? White Owl, Dutches, you know what I mean? Malt liquor. Again, I haven't seen anybody drink a 40 since the 90s. He said, yes, plants, that's what I call them in foster kids. Yeah, so plants, they're industry plants. Like they say that about, what's his name? Chance the Rapper. Even somebody like Drake, like, that's not a hood rapper. This nigga was a Canadian, half Jewish, half black kid that was in the Degrassi show for like teens. Now he's this worldwide famous multi-platinum rapper. Like, how'd you create him? If you didn't know any better, you would probably think he came from some hood in New York or Philly or something like that. So it's like there's a kit now that they have in the music industry. You can create a superstar. They ain't even gotta have talent. They don't have to know how to sing that good. It's auto-tune. You don't even have to write your own lyrics. It's written for you. I don't know if you're familiar with the show. I did a review on the show. It's called The Boys. And there's the character Homelander, and he laboratory experiment. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing real about him that you see, if you were to look at him on the news. They even made this fake documentary of his life as a boy somewhere in like middle America, but he never lived that. He never had a family. He grew up in a lab. All his superpowers were given to him by, medical science experiments. So this story of him being some kid that loved baseball and he had happy, loving parents, that's all fake. There's nothing real about it. So I even look at this movie here, Clone Tyrone, I'm like, why would they reveal that to people? Why would they start telling the public that they're making clones of people? Why would you do that? Because you gotta understand, this whole Hollywood thing, and Netflix is now Hollywood, in case you didn't know. It's always here for propaganda, and it's always also here to introduce things to the public that you never seen before. So, for example, if I'm introducing the fact that there are clones and we're cloning people in the black neighborhoods of America, this is something we're going to introduce to you so that we can further control you based on, we're telling you something that you think is woke or conscious, but then we're going to control you from that point. You know what I'm saying? Because it's almost as if the corporation is saying, hey, we can be woke too. We can tell you stuff. We can reveal stuff. You know what I'm saying? And they're doing that so that they gain your confidence, your favor. You know what I mean? They run this game on women today too. Like, they sit here act like they are supporting women's rights and feminists. They're not really in support of that. They're only doing that again so that they can gain your confidence. They can gain your trust. You can put out one movie and say, "Oh, this is a movie about, protecting women and making sure that women are protected against the predatory males." They're only doing that for money and the propaganda. They're not, because they care about you out here dealing with men and their sexual predatory nature, about that. But then, like I said, because they make a movie like this, you start going along with them and believing everything that they tell you. So you think they're on your you think that they're on your side. You know what I'm saying? Just like the movie Django Unchained, which had Jamie Foxx in it. On the surface, it looks like Django is fighting for the slaves. Like it looks like he's a badass that kills Whitey and shoots slave masters and overseers and shit like that. But there's an undertone, if you can see it, of conspiracy. There's an undertone of propaganda to that. Because that's easy way for you to start a race war if that's something that you want to create. You could do that. Because how would white people in the United States react to Django? Because that would be a frightening thing that this black guy is, he don't care about white people. Like he'll shoot anybody. That would scare the average white person because that's going from a docile Negro to this, renegade slave slayer. You know what I'm saying? So now it makes you look at black people different. It's like, what if this black person tries to kill me and shoot me like Django? And you think you think I'm lying or you think it's too simplified. It's like, no, that's truth. People believe what they see in movies, in TV shows and stuff like that. You can be influenced by what you see in the theater or what you watch in a movie. You can be influenced. Now, for me and you, us watching this is like we're not so much influenced because we know the game. Like I ain't got to tell you that Hollywood is a propaganda machine. You already know this shit. But we talking about millions of other people who don't see it that way or don't look at it that way. Because if the movie is not there to put, to actually make money, why else would you make it? It's only agitation propaganda. It's there to agitate people. It's there to stir up emotions. It's there to get people talking. Like me right now, I'm sitting here talking about this movie, They Cloned Tyrone. So then you have scientists and researchers of these corporations that go online and study what I have to say, what you have to say, what you're posting about it, what she's posting about it, what they're talking about. They do research. They conduct research on all this stuff because they're trying to see where you're at mentally and where you're at emotionally. Like what, it's all about what they can do to get you to do something. To get you in your feelings, to get you emotional, to get you upset. That's all about. That's part of the mind control. Because we can sit here and say, "Oh, they kidnap people and they do the stuff on them with the video and the shit that they do in Clockwork Orange, where they even showed this in the movie where it's a girl who has her eyes peeled open and she's watching all these images, just like in the what's the movie? What's the movie? Tales from the Hood. Crazy K. I've never seen nobody put that type of haircut. I never seen that type of haircut. Like he had the 70 sideburns and he had a K cut right in the front of his head. But when when they take him to prison after who he killed, they do that whole experimentation on him while he's in prison, which is actually an epidemic. That's not a conspiracy. There's people, especially if you want to reduce your sentence in prison, you can opt to be in one of these different scientific experiments where they do that type of stuff to you. Hold on. Say looking at the anatomy of certain celebrities, you can see clone tech. You got to show me that because that's something that would be new to me because I don't pay attention to celebrities to that degree. But you would definitely have to show me that stuff. Now, again, bringing up the show The Boys, where they deal with the Vault Corporation and how the Vault Corporation basically controls the world. They control the media, they control the politics, the president, they control everything in that show. So this is what it reminded me of here in this whole this movie here. You know what I'm saying? They clone. So even if this is just a work of fiction, there's nothing to really be worried about or nothing like that. It doesn't affect that corporations run the world. So let's not take away from that. You even have corporations that they claim certain genetic information. Like, for example, if like in what Monsanto, like that bean, if that bean were to, make it over to your farm and it started growing in your land, they can sue you for you trying to steal their property because they own the genetic sequence of that bean or that seed. So, like, if they took like let's say a raccoon, so they can patent that genetic modification. So now it's like them owning nature, they owning life. They're owning an intellectual property of the genetics. This is a real thing. This is real shit. You can search this, you can look this up. You got all the Tyrones and Fontaines here, so to promote the movie or whatever. But also, we're not in the dark about the music they make and the food they create and the certain institutions they put in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? There's a liquor store and a church on every corner, a Popeyes on every corner, a gun shop on every corner. What you think is put? Why you think it's placed there? And this movie kind of deals with that. It looks into that. You know. Because how would you feel if, I got shot and I died, but then I just reappeared next day? Like I was never gunned down. And you got Jamie Foxx here with this cut. It's real wild. You got a little part in the middle. It's real brave. It's but what's interesting is that, right around the time of this movie being released, the whole Jamie Foxx thing of him being in the hospital and him having emergencies and stuff like that. And I'm for certain that, if you saw Jamie Foxx now, you would probably look at him and be like, "Oh, they cloned him." That's what they said about Gucci Mane. They said that and then came back out. It's like, oh, they not the same. They even be saying the same shit about Kanye West. There's all these conspiracy videos on YouTube where they say, "Oh, that's a clone. That's not the real Kanye. They replaced him." You heard that shit before with Kanye? But I do took this film and they kind of, it's like a tribute to those black exploitation movies of the 70s where, it was all about trying to stick it to the man, take down this one sole white man that is, you know, selling drugs in the black community or trying to bring down black people. So, like I said, the whole film is kind of based on that, but it takes it to, darker directions, I would say. You know what I mean? And then this dude with the red series, he's the director of the movie. His name is Jewel Taylor. You know what I'm saying? And what I could research, they said he was one of the writers behind the new Space Jam movie. You know what I'm saying? So make of that will if what you would, you know what I'm saying? But let's shift over to Yakub because this is why I have brought this up here. There's always a Yakub lurking. There's always this super intelligent black man that, he gets so fucking arrogant in his creations and his intelligence that he decides to make people. He decides to make his own race, his own creations, his own Frankenstein like things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'll even bring up Yakub. So the most common image of Yakub is this, this big-headed scientist. So whenever someone says Yakub, it's always this big-headed thing right here. And you notice how it kind of even resembles this motherfucker right here. There's like a similarity, ain't it? So there's always a Yakub lurking. Oh, they even got books on the subject. Scholarly research books, I would believe. Sean Asur Salah, Yakub, the father of the white race. There's always a Yakub lurking somewhere. Even in hold on. Even in that show that Black Dynamite. Hold on. This is what this movie They Cloned Tyrone is. It kind of reminds me of it. It has the same theme, same jive turkey, jive turkey, black exploitation, stick it to the man type of film or whatever. Hold on. So they have an episode where he have Yakub in it, where he starts making all these white people. He makes a white King Kong. Hold on, let me see if I can find a picture of. Here's the other image of Yakub that's popular. So there's always a Yakub, someone who's just creating these new white people or these people, and he is just like, bro, what is going on with you? So that's what he looks like. I can't find. Where's the picture of him? Hold on. This is the episode though. Honky Kong. So they make like a white version of King Kong, and it's this island. Again, it's the island where Black Dynamite and his friends go to the island, and they find Yakub, and he makes a white version of Bill Cosby and all these different basketball players like this right here. And then you have somebody who's, I guess, woke. They said, put everything in your face. So going back to the Yakub, right? Because there's about how white people came to be. There's also the theory that there was some black people from Africa that went up to the Caucasus Mountains or went up north. I guess what was it called, Grimaldi or something like that. And because of the weather and the climate up there, eventually those black people started to turn white, or pale skin. And that was supposedly a theory for the reason why people we call white people today came to existence. The whole graphic. Here's another picture. So you got both of them in here, the big head scientists. So in They Cloned Tyrone, they bring in this big head scientist who is the original Fontaine, played by John Boyega, the main character of the movie. So it's his experiments, his genetics, his work is the reason why they can clone, the Jamie Foxx character, the John Boyega, who's he's the clone of the actual geneticist. Going back to the Yakub thing, you know what I'm saying? This is a very popular myth. Whether you want to say the myth is real or it's not, is a very popular in the black community, especially the black conscious community. Very popular. Because it's a way for us to say, this is how this is how black race created a white race, and all the other races of the world is here because of Yakub's genetic experiments. So the reason that there's, according to Nation of Islam, the reason why there's Chinese people, Hindus, Mongoloids, Anglo-Saxons, you know what I'm saying, Scandinavians, is because of the big head scientist. So do y'all believe in that? Is that something that y'all like co-sign? Here, like I said, they even there you go. They say Kanye West is a clone of his original self. Funny shit. And in the movie, the whole point of Fontaine, who's the geneticist, he wants to turn all black people into whites so that they can survive within the context of America, because that's what he thinks will save us, is that he's going to erase the blackness out of black people, just like the Yakub does in the show Black Dynamite, and turn them white. So the thing that makes you black, he wants to remove it from your genetics to turn you into a white person. The big-headed scientist. Look at all these videos. You even got TikTok videos of this shit. This guy made white people. The big head scientist. And that's why I'd be like, yeah, how much validity does this have? You know what I'm saying? Because you got, even whatever conspiracy you come up with, which is, this movie They Cloned Tyrone is all about conspiracy. There's always a modicum or a morsel of truth to it. It's based on something that's real. It's not just some concoction. There's something to it. So if you needed to clone me, you needed my real DNA to do that. You don't just make me out of thin air. Or at least we don't know nothing about that. At least for the world of just science, you would need my DNA to do it. So just, in that same fashion, if you were to, sit here and say that, you was made from someone's genetic experiments, it's like, yeah, what is that based on though? You can sit here and make a whole movie about it, but what part is true? What part is kind of, fantastical? And why would they make a Hollywood movie based on this type of conspiracy? Now let's another time and talk about, or let's talk about the stereotypes from the hood. Because from what I can see about this movie, They Cloned Tyrone, and different things I've learned about, about Black history in America and slavery and all this different stuff, is that there are these stereotypes that a lot of people do fit into, or they have some sort of modified version of it. Like, for example, we have the Manny, this woman who isn't sexually attractive, but she's used by the slave master to keep all the other slaves in check. Do you have the Jezebel, the whore Jezebel, where she's used as a bed wench for the slave master and the overseers, or just white people in? Do you have the Buck, who's this big slave that's used to breed with other black slave women so that they can keep creating um big, strong, fast slaves and stuff like that? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or the sellout, like, for example, the Uncle Tom, who's in the big house with the white people, and his whole job is to keep other black people down. You know what I'm saying? It's a good point too that you're making, Natasha. You made a good point here. This point of they collect people's placentas, you know. And this was very key when what was that other movie? Us, Jordan Peele movie. Oh, let me bring that up. With that, right? This falls right with that. Remember the tethers from 2019? The tethers. You remember the tethers from Us? Like there's this supposedly underground of clones of every person in America in the sewers and the tunnels up under the United States. Supposedly. In fact, I would have somebody watch this movie and then watch They Cloned Tyrone and see the similarities to it. Remember they had these red jumpsuits with the scissors? But in this movie, They Cloned Tyrone, this is they have the same type of underground tunnel workings and facilities, but it's filled with scientists and you know, corporate people and all that stuff that are there to, you know, create all these different products like the malt liquor you drinking and the hair product, the perm shit that you some of y'all women put in your hair, and the chicken sandwich at Popeyes. Be having all these type of different chemicals in it to keep you restrained and sedated and shit like that. But yeah, tethers. So right, there's a tether version of me underground eating raw rabbits. I don't even cook the rabbits. They just eat them just as if a dog were to eat a rabbit or a wolf were to chase down a rabbit and just eat its raw. So they don't even cook it or add any adobo or seasoned salt or anything to it. That's pretty creepy. That's why I look at people sideways if they tell me they ever ate rabbit meat. They're like, you a tether. I never had rabbit, so I ain't a tether. If you ever ate rabbit, you a tether. So you want to sit here and talk about another conspiracy where they collect people's placentas when the baby is born, because that's a whole lot of what's the word, pluripotent stem cells, because that's I guess that's what you need to clone somebody. You need the stem cells of that person, and then you can, because I know they use the stem cells to grow hearts and lungs for people who need it. Like if your lungs was collapsing and you needed to go through a surgery, and you get on the list, they can create artificial hearts and shit, which you know what I mean. So yeah, I would have you watch this movie. So if you ever seen this movie already, then this movie is probably like, I would say it's like an unofficial sequel in a sense. You know what I mean? It's like an unofficial sequel. It's the same shit. And the thing about clones is that they're always trying to fight for identity. So if you came across your clone, it's like, well, it's only going to be one Alex. It's only going to be one Achad. It's like we ain't about to sit here and have multiple Alexes around here. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, somebody gonna have to die. It's only going to be one. Just like that movie, the one with Jet Li. You know what I'm saying? Jet Li character, he was going from universe to universe to kill off himself in that universe, so that each time he kills off himself in a different universe, he gets more powerful. So he's on this goal to kill himself in every universe so that he can be immortal or invincible. But remember the tethers. And spoiler, if you haven't seen the movie, no, I ain't gonna tell you the spoiler of this movie because it's too intricate. You gotta watch it. You gotta watch Us. You know what I'm saying? So all in all the tunnels and underground layers and holes in America, there was even some talk about, like, in certain projects, like if you go to the hood, there's certain doors within some of the apartments where they say that someone from an underground tunnel or they got it set up where people can come through that part of your house, because nobody knows what's behind that door is usually in certain project apartments. So there's a conspiracy surrounding that. There's always a door that's locked. You can't get into it. It's like, what's behind this door? Is the heater behind there? What's behind this door? Yeah, and they were saying that they use that door to come into your shit, kidnap you, or do stuff to you and put you back. However, whatever. That's the conspiracy. This is a movie of conspiracy, right? We talking about They Cloned Tyrone. Because in the movie they show you that there's all types of trap doors and secret passageways, and go to the liquor store, and you know the whole rack where they have all the beer and stuff like that is actually is a door. If you have the badge, you can get into there. It's an elevator that takes you down to the lower levels, and that's where you have the research and science facilities down there. All types of conspiratorials down there. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, thing. Natasha is helping me out today. Thank you, sis. Yeah, the Henrietta Lacks. See, the one thing I didn't know about Henrietta Lacks was that they don't really tell you that, if you don't do the research, they actually take her mitochondrial DNA, not her actual like nuclear DNA, it's her mitochondrial DNA. So they take that and they use it for, to create these immortal cells that, they make all types of different stuff with based on that immortal DNA. And of course, she wouldn't be the only one that they took it from. Even in my research on it, she's just the one that we all know about. No pictures, you know what I'm saying? Bored because it's just a static image, you know what I'm saying? You gotta do stuff to keep people that got low attention spans. You gotta like dance and sing and make them laugh to keep them more alive and stuff like that. But the question is, why would they sit here and put this on Netflix? That's my question. Because it seems like a woke movie. It's like, oh, we're uncovering a conspiracy of them to create songs that hypnotize black people and make them do crime and make them have unprotected sex and babies and make sure each other drive-bys. Just the music, just the song. Hypnotize them. And then here, on YouTube or whatever, or in the conscious community, they'll sit here and say, like I said, I'm not saying that it's bullshit or it's lies, but you have a lot of people saying that because of, if you make trap music or trap beats, the song has like a lower frequency, like the drum beat and the type of instruments they use to bring down your frequency when you listen to the trap song. You know what I'm saying? And then, you put the lyrics and the hook to it, Molly Percocets, Molly Percocets, Molly Percocets. So it hypnotizes you into abusing Molly's and Percocets. You know what I'm saying? Abusing women, you know what I mean? Drive-bys on people that live up the street. Make you want to bang a color, you know what I mean? Just with the music, you know what I'm saying? Very interesting thing. So this movie is like a culmination of all those conspiracy theories into one. But I kind of see it. They said, what is one of the most popular conspiracy theories ever about black community and dealing with black people in America? Put it all into a narrative, into a film, and make it this one big ass conspiracy film. It's also that, what's that movie, Conspiracy Theory? Conspiracy Theory, quite literally, that's the title. Movie with Mel Gibson in it, where he figures out the conspiracy with the government, and they come and try to like silence and shit. Mel Gibson, yeah, shit right here, came out in the 90s. So he looks up and figures out that there is actually a government conspiracy. Hold on, I'm looking for the English version. Because again, nowadays it's all about, if you're labeled as a conspiracy theorist, That's them saying, "Oh, don't listen to him. He's just some quack. He's just he's spilling false information." Like if I was on here talking about the Corona bottle, you know what I'm talking about. They would flag this video and they would take it down, because I've had videos before where they just, they took them down. Because first they were just public, and then I put them into private status. Soon as I took those videos out of private status and put them as public, they were flagged for having things being talked about the Corona bottle, saying it was medical misinformation. But this is another movie where they show you that, Mel Gibson's character, he actually figures out something that's actually true, and the people that, once they've been detected, they try to, like, make his life a living hell. They try to, silence him and shit. But like I said before, why would they make a film about this? Why would you put this on Netflix? What's your point? Because you do have some, Disney, Star Wars actors. Like, for example, Jamie Foxx was he provided the voice for that movie Soul. This movie right here with the Disney movie. He was the voice of the black guy in this film. Jamie Foxx voiced him in the movie. And then what's her name? Teyana Paris. She's one of the Marvel characters. You know what I'm saying? She's the I think she's the Monica Rambeau, I believe. And her movie is about to come out too. What's it called? The Marvels. Yeah, this movie right here. She about to come out with this. This is about to come out in like a couple weeks or something like that. Because she was in the Captain Marvel movie from like what was it? When the Infinity War, when that came out. So this movie is about to drop. And then obviously you have John Boyega, who's, he plays in Star Wars. You know what I mean? As a clone. So again, me reiterating it. He was a clone in Star Wars, and now he's a clone in They Cloned Tyrone. So I'm seeing what they're doing here. I'm seeing this is stuff that will go over people's heads because they're not looking depthly enough into what they're being presented with. Now, another topic I want to address is going back to the hood and the whole thug image. Or, for example, the professional thought image that you see out here today. Who created that? Who engineered that? Who made that? Who put that out there for us to want to emulate that if that's something we want to do? Because you understand, like, the thug was never black. It was Italian or Jewish or Polish. It's only like when you get towards like the 60s and 70s did you start seeing like gangs become black now. Because before it was just Italian, it was Jewish. So then you go back to those blaxploitation films of the 70s, and that's where you start seeing gang members black. You start seeing them in black. Like hoes, prostitutes, pimps, which this movie deals with. It deals with those stereotypes. The drug dealer thug, the pimp, and the hoe, or the prostitute, hooker. And it turns it on its head in this movie. They become the heroes, but where did those creations come from? Here, let's bring up blaxploitation films. They even got Django as that. You know what I'm saying? Because if you didn't know, Quentin Tarantino, who did the Django Unchained movie, he said that Django is the great grandfather of John Shaft, and John Shaft is, he's pictured right here, one of the most popular blaxploitation films. Here you go, right here, John Shaft. But my point, what I'm really talking about, is where did these characters come from? Like, where did they get the pimp from? Where did they get the drug dealer from? Where did that come from? Because then, if we skip 2 decades and go into the 90s, you have gangster rappers. Where did the gangster rapper come from? Did we create gangster rap? Because now that becomes part of the conspiracy, because a lot of us know about that one conspiracy where these those music executives and the private prison executives got into a meeting where they were going to people and adjacent people to prison. Yeah, the whole basement thing, or even, like I said, it's just that whole the project. It was a project, and it probably was something, like I said, we deal with conspiracies. It probably was a way to um the whole thing about there was people being missing and nobody knew where these people were. Never saw them again. They just disappeared. Whatever happened to that? But like I said, where did these characters come from? Where did these stereotypes come from? Because if you didn't create it and I didn't create it, and I don't remember nobody in my family ever originating any of that, where did it come from? That's my point. Because now, when you go to movies like They Cloned Tyrone, it brings up the point of, well, if the whole thug image, or this Sukihana, this whole what's her name, Cardi B, this Nicki Minaj, all these different, in the music industry and TV and all this stuff, what they're just concoctions of the corporate machine, and they're just placed in front of you so that you follow suit, or that your kids or babies follow suit, because you may be too old to be like, I would never dress up like Sukihana, like Lil Wayne, or you know what I'm saying. I would never want to look like, I would never follow behind them, but maybe your kids might. So it's not for you, it's for the younger generation, for them to follow behind. So these corporate created entities that they place in front of us in movies and music videos and shit like that, for your young children to emulate. All because there is a time where we had the minstrel show, right? Remember that? If you ever seen that movie, go watch the movie Bamboozled by Spike Lee joint. Here, I'll pull it up. Hold on, let me just make another one. Remember that movie Bamboozled with Damon Wayans and J. Pinkett Smith? Remember this? Probably Spike Lee's probably one of the greatest films. Blackface, because you gotta understand that there were people back in, like I said, like the 1800s going into the 1900s, even probably as early as the 1700s, where you had this caricature of black people in these real dark faces and real red lips, and they were doing all these silly, ridiculous ass, Showtime, coonery buffoonery. You know what I'm saying? See, the issue with this is that once this gets around the world, people around the world start seeing you as this because of the media, the corporate media. So that's why it's important for them to kind of like create such propaganda, is because it's for the point of shaping perception. This is where the real mind control comes in. Because we can sit here and talk about MK Ultra all day, but this is shit that we can prove. You say other shit is conspiracy, but this is what you can. These films that people never even seen a black person in their life. So when they come across true black people, that you're something from one of these movies. So their approach to you is based on what they see here. They don't think there is any type of other type of black people except what they see in these type of movies and shows and the news, that how we're depicted. You know what I mean? And that's a problem, especially between us here in America and those, like, for other black people in Africa. Because they think that American black people, they think we're just all this shit that you see on the screen. For the most part, they don't think of us as anything else than other than what they see in rap videos, movie. They don't see us as anything but that. They're just as much as the corporate perception management as anybody else. And it's all considered corporate creation. What's the other type of conspiracies that they deal with, like the whole thing of black men being forced to dress up as women in movies, like Big Mama's House, and that time when what's his name, Wesley Snipes, say he dressed up in drag, in movie Holiday Heart with Ving Rhames. Hold on, you saying that it's choppy? Yeah, that's I don't know. I probably have to do this a second time, because every time I start talking about this type of stuff, my stuff starts messing up. Maybe that's a conspiracy in and of itself. Because all my other lives wasn't this choppy, was it? No. But as soon as I start talking about this, my video stream starts fucking up. Ain't that convenient? And this is shit that I don't even really care about throughout the day, because again, this is all for the public. When you deal with the private parts or private sides of life, this stuff is not even that important. You feel me? Not important. But like I said, I just watched the film and I really wanted to come here and talk about it. You know what I mean? Some very interesting things being put in such a movie like this. Like I said, it's good as far as a narrative is concerned. If you like a good story, yeah, go ahead and watch the movie, but understand that there's propaganda. You don't just put something out like this and then, ain't nobody going to sit here and question why you did. This is a corporate owned property. You know what I'm saying? There has to be some propaganda attached. You thinking that this is them trying to expose some conspiracy? Meanwhile, on the subliminal level, there is an actual propaganda being put out. But yeah, like I said, man, I think the most important thing to really discuss is how the Yakubs, when Yakubs come out, and how the Yakubs will do anything, they'll do it to in their arrogance of their own intelligence. So he's so intelligent that he started creating white people. Or in the case of the island of Dr. Moreau, you bring that up too. Yeah, Marlon Brando dressed up like a kabuki artist. You know what I'm saying? And he was splicing human DNA with animal DNA. Like these real unethical genetic experiments. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I agree with you when you say putting it out as part of the conspiracy. Yeah, because you got to understand there is a reaction that they're trying to get from you by watching the movie. Again, you have researchers that right now are surveying the entire internet for anybody talking about this movie, They Cloned Tyrone. And they take stock of that. They're gauging where you're at with this shit. You know what I'm saying? This is the way you gauge the public. You see how they react to things that you're putting in the movie that you intentionally put there. It was the same thing with when they put out The Matrix. You think The Matrix is some film where you're going up against the system, but in the next movies that come out in that the trilogy where you had Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions, they did a switcheroo on you. Neo becomes he becomes the sellout in the second two movies. You know what I'm saying? And going back to Dr. Moreau again. Island, Patmos, Dr. Moreau, Yakub. Got some people sitting here writing books on it too. That's funny as hell. You got people writing books on it. Who was Mr. Yakub? You got people writing books on this shit. It's funny. And then it said subterfuge. Okay. But yeah, you got all this stuff on Yakub out here, man. It's funny as hell. Again, if you're in the Black conscious community, you have heard the stories more than once about Yakub, the big-headed genetic scientist that created Caucasoid people and all the other peoples of the world. Now the thing about it is that this is a way to explain how we are maybe oppressed or colonized by these pale people based on if he never created them, would we be oppressed? That's the lingering idea in the conscious thing. It's like if he never created white people, perhaps we would never be slaves or never be colonized, never be exploited, never be taken control of. Hell, they created a white Yakub. Albino Yakub. An albino Yakub. Ever seen an albino Yakub? Well, technically, it's not albino because albinos have the reds in their eyes, and he just got the blue. So I guess this is just a whitewashed Yakub. But yeah, man, this movie was pretty good though. This whole Netflix, you know what I'm saying? It's pretty good. I liked it. You know what I mean? John Boyega, he's a very good actor. He also played in this movie where he's like a bank robber. You know what I'm saying? What's it called? I gotta watch that movie. I only seen like the beginning of it because I had to leave somewhere. What's it called? John Boyega bank robber. I think it's based on an actual story. Like it's based on a true story. And it had Michael K. Williams in it. Rest in peace to that guy. But they always had Williams in a role where he was, homosexual. I don't know if he was typecast as that. Because he was Omar in The Wire and shit. About Omar and his lights. But it was even he even played in what's the show? Lovecraft Country with Jonathan Majors, where he was like his surrogate father, and he was homosexual in that too. I don't know what was that all about. Yeah, this movie is crazy. John Boyega was a good actor. He kind of reminded me of Denzel Washington in this. Like you have Q with Denzel Washington. This is what the movie reminded me of. This, Breaking. That's the name of this movie. Like he robs a bank and he's not really there mentally. He's unstable. He's a good actor in this. So when he plays this movie, but again, I already told you that he's really just kind of reprising his role as Finn in these Star Wars movies that came out. Again, he's a clone, a stormtrooper clone that rebels against the stormtroopers and the bad guys in the Star Wars world. Same fucking premise in this They Cloned Tyrone movie. Same exact fucking premise. Same shit. Don't think you notice this stuff. This is where typecasting goes into another level where it's like they're going to use you for the same type of storyline over and over again. You know what I mean? Always pay attention to who's made the good guy and who's made the bad guys of these films. Very pivotal, very important to the propaganda being placed in your face. You know what I mean? That rhymed. But yeah, if you find out that, in the hood you grew up in was a construct, because, even the suburbs, even urban areas, your metropolitan, that's all social engineering. You have social engineers who design every fucking, populated place on this earth. They design that. So now you got to question, well, why did you design New York this way? Why did you design LA or Los Angeles? Why is it designed this way? Why did you make the suburbs the way it was? Why did you come up with redlining? Redlining is they had these certain sections, saying where people lived, where if it was a black community, it would be redlined, where you wouldn't get any opportunities for loans or credit or anything like that from banks and stuff. So now I guess I would look at the film and say, to what extent do these social engineers have, like what am I trying to say? How much are they involved in the engineering, social engineering, especially of the black community, the hood, the ghetto, the streets? Because if you're gonna sit here and come out with music that is supposed to, make jail like is, or make prison a cool place to be, like you got music that promotes prison culture. Is that a part of the social engineers agenda? Because this movie addresses that, I'd say. Because you would think that it's just some corporations that, they're from a distance. They're just worried about what you see on TV. They're not really involved in your actual day-to-day activities. But this movie says something different. This movie is saying that they're involved with the products you consume, the TV shows, the music, the perm you put in your hair to straighten it out and make you look like a white woman. They're involved in the whole shebang. It's all a part of the same plan or scheme. They was in church drinking grape drink, not grape juice, grape drink. It's not the same formula. It is not the same formula. There ain't no vitamins in grape drink. Dave Chappelle, he was like, grape drink is made from 3 ingredients: sugar, water, and purple. So whatever purple is, gotta watch out for purple. It's just sugar, water, purple. That's the ingredients. Because like I said, we often have people who complain and talk out and speak out about, like I said, how we're portrayed in the media. But again, if this extends into how the construct of our living situations is also included in that shit, where you have science labs and experiment or laboratories that are right up beneath you underground somewhere in an underground facility. Oh, that's taking it to a whole nother level. Or you're being kidnapped and experimented on and then re-released back into the streets. You know what I'm saying? Or if you get sent to prison, and who's going to save you from the things they do to you in there? You know what I mean? Especially if no one cares about you or no one cares for you. That's even more of a risk. Because you have nobody coming to see you, put money on your books. Why you ain't got no money on your books? You know what I'm saying? How come you ain't got no family members, nobody, you know what I'm saying, coming through, put money on your books? So you can, you know what I'm saying, get the candy bar. You can't get the candy bar, no money on your books. So what I'm getting at is the modern black person a manufactured product or a manufactured thing of these corporations? So was your experience in the hood a complete manufacture or fabrication created by some corporation? You see people, you may see that you have family members or people they're part of some sort of gang. Is that a corporate creation? That's what I'm sitting here asking. You know what I mean? You know how they have like Planned Parenthood centers, and it's the church, the liquor store, the gun shop, and a Planned Parenthood on every block in the hood. Yeah, Popeyes. I already talked about Popeyes. You late with that. I already talked about that in the beginning of this live, where even in this movie, there's some chemicals in there that sedate you. They put it in this movie. I remember niggas was in them lines. And they're fighting. There was even that thing with the Boondocks where they created that episode where the chicken ran out of chicken, so they called police on the chicken. Ran out of chicken. How you gonna call the police on Popeyes because they ran out of chicken? Or when they want to promote some sort of political shit, they'll give out free Krispy Kreme donuts. Remember that shit? When they want to get black people on their side, hey niggas, we got free Krispy Kreme donuts. Come on down and vote. We got all types of Krispy Kreme. We're gonna limit 3 Krispy Kreme donuts per person. You can't have more than 3. Gotta have all the other niggas eat some Krispy Kreme donuts. So what you say is, if I wanted to be president, all I gotta do is go down the hood and give out donuts and chicken, and I got their vote. Or hire somebody like NBA Youngboy come rap at my campaign rally. You know what I'm saying? That's all it take. They don't care about politics, these niggas. Some donuts and chicken and have them rap NBA Youngboy, and we got them. You feel me? Say on some Resident Evil type shit. Yeah, that's part of it. I'm glad you said that. The Resident Evil shit. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Damn, my shit is moving so, man. This never happened to me before. Look how slow my shit is moving. Just because I'm talking about a movie about conspiracies, they want to slow down my YouTube live. Oh, poo. And they are called projects for a reason. That's what I was talking about earlier. You're part of some big ass fucking experiment, you know what I'm saying? And didn't even know it. You thought it was just life in the hood. According to this movie, it ain't life in the hood. It's a controlled experiment. It's a controlled scientific laboratory type ish going on. They're extracting your motherfucking your immortal mitochondrial DNA so they can live longer. They can extract that from your body. You said it was giving out free fries and burgers. Yeah, they give out donuts, free Swisher sweets. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, psych wards, all that stuff, man. Wherever they can isolate you and do that shit on you. Think about prison, think about psychiatric hospital, the whole DIFUS thing, or the whole child protective services where they try to create some sort of fucking story and to come get your kids and shit. All that shit, man. This is what this movie was kind of reminding me of. So I don't know where the conspiracy is when you is people who actually live this shit. I used to live in the projects before. You know what I mean? Said niggas gave out free fries and burgers for a vaccination for the corona bottle. That's crazy. So if I was you, I mean, if you want to, I mean, it's nothing that you know, if you, social engineering, man, get into understanding that. Because now it wouldn't even just be black people; it would be the masses in general. It's just that us. I guess they got, you know, some specific type of social engineering that's geared towards, you know, us in particular. This is social engineering of the entire human race. It's not just us. Because then you have the suburbs where you think, you know, these people think that they're in some sort of middle class, and you know they keep saying that the middle classes doesn't exist. It's fading out. There is no such thing as the middle class. And that's a, you know, there's always this conspiracy to create some sort of uh war between different types of people. Like they create, you know, some sort of race war or some sort of, you know, get this group of people to go against that group of people. Always creating some sort of conflict between, you know, us or people. You know what I'm saying? But that's where I'm kind of cut off. I think I talked about it long enough because we almost at 140, or excuse me, not 100, an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm gonna cut it off here, and I'm gonna look at this shit, you know, in hindsight, and I might have to come back and redo this because they, you know, they got my video all chopped up. But yeah, that's the movie, man. Go check it out. It's on Netflix. Go see somebody's password, or you know, act like you like somebody so they can give you a password so you can watch the movie if you ain't paying the monthly subscription. You know what I mean? But Achad, man, make sure you get the book that's going down here with the website holographer.com/the book. I have my Cashapp and also my Patreon. Subscribe so you can get some real true information, some knowledge. I teach on there. You know what I'm saying? So that's my time. This is Achad. They cloned Tyrone, but they can't clone Achad. Keep it real with you. They can't clone Achad. There's only one Achad, nigga. You ain't about to claim fucking clone me. Once in a lifetime. What about you? Can they clone you? Can they recreate who you are? But like maybe in like a diluted version of who you are and shit. Could they do that to you? You know what I'm saying?